So next up, we have the Moses covenant. A lot of ground gets covered between these two. All of the generations from Abraham through Joseph. Joseph ends up reconvening with his family in Egypt. And then for generations, for years and years, the Israelites are in Egypt, eventually ending up in captivity and enslavement there. Moses is the person that God chooses to save his people in exile and enslavement. We normally talk about the exile as the Babylon exile, but also the Israelites were exiled here. It happens over and over in the Old Testament. But all right, enslavement, just to make it clear. So after the whole great story of the 10 plagues and coming out of Egypt and being saved, they end up in the wilderness. In the wilderness, they first arrive at Mount Sinai, where the covenant is made, which is still in the modern day Sinai Peninsula. It's the place where Moses talks to God. When we go through our Exodus video, we're going to do a lot with this. We're going to talk about how God works through the wilderness seasons, especially through Israel. We're coming out of enslavement and into freedom, but still has a whole desert season to come forward. When Moses talks to God on Mount Sinai, God gives Moses the law. The covenant becomes pretty much if you follow the law, you will always be my people. Notice this is an if-then statement. It's conditional. It's conditional based on what the people do. A little bit of interesting background on this, the difference between the Abraham covenant back here and the Moses covenant and how they were sealed. It shows us kind of the differences between the unconditional nature and the conditional nature of this. In the Abraham covenant, so this is kind of a recall. Abraham has a vision of God walking through a trail of blood. God is the one who walks through the blood. God is the one who seals and signs this covenant in the Abraham covenant. However, in the Moses covenant, and with the priests going forward, the people are the ones who sprinkle the blood. Showing that the Abraham covenant was a covenant made by God unconditionally, and the Moses covenant is a covenant made by the people to God, by the Israelite people. So we're going to see this Moses covenant, the law kind of acts like training wheels, I've heard it said. In the New Testament, Paul is going to tell us how we are no longer under the law, even though the law is good, because it can also cause problems. Turns out that just specified rules are really good for the Israelites at that time and really bring about God's will because of the things that they do. However, the laws are not timeless laws that adjust with the changes of society and time and everything like that. So this is kind of training wheels for God's people to do good. This law is everything in the Old Testament. We're going to see throughout the Old Testament, it is when they follow God's commands, good things happen to them. When they do not follow God's commands, bad things happen, including the worst of it, them being exiled into other nations. This becomes the Moses covenant really is the big covenant of the Old Testament in the way that God's justice works. God's justice at this point is kind of how we would see a court that is you get exactly what you deserve. If you do bad, bad is going to happen to you. If you do good, good is going to come to you. Now, this is problematic because we can't follow all the law. Because of sin. So luckily, God had a plan for that as well, and that's where Jesus comes in. So continue to finish through these videos so that you can see how these laws are fulfilled and how they continue on. Our next video will be the David covenant, which is a very major covenant that points to Jesus. So yeah, check out the next video.